Good afternoon, my friends. Mr. Norman Stockdale, President, 39th Australian Infantry Battalion Association, Miss Georgina Crozier, Member for Southern Metropolitan, representing the Premier, the Honourable James Merlin, Member for Monbulk, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Edward O'Donoghue, Member for Eastern Victoria, Mr. Joss Frydenberg, Federal Member for Kooyong, Mr. Dennis Baggerley, Chief Executive, Shrine of Remembrance, Senior Defence Representatives, veterans, distinguished guests. My friends, I am privileged to join you today in this much-loved place of remembrance to honour the service and sacrifice of the soldiers of the 39th Battalion who fought in the Kokoda campaign. Today marks 70 years since the retaking of Kokoda village by those gallant men in a battle that disproved the invincibility of the Japanese army. In 1942, no one could have imagined that this untried, poorly equipped militia battalion of 1,500 men sent to Port Moresby in a garrison role would find itself engaged in a battle of critical strategic importance along the Kokoda track. Their selfless and courageous actions delayed the Japanese advance on Port Moresby and its airfields, with telling implications for the defence of Australia's north. The Japanese were battle-hardened, well-equipped and specially trained for jungle warfare. They numbered over 5 full-strength battalions and were supported by a substantial array of combat support units, including mountain artillery and combat engineers. The first battle for Kokoda village occurred on the 28th and the 29th of July 1942. Resisting overwhelming odds, the 39th Battalion fought tenaciously. However, after heavy losses, including Commander of Bravo Company, Captain Sam Templeton, and Commanding Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Owen, they had to retreat south to Deneki. Appreciating the advantage that this would provide to the enemy, new CO, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Cameron, planned a counter-attack for his soldiers to recapture Kokoda village and its important airfield. On the 8th of August 1942, they succeeded holding Kokoda for 2.5 days against repeated heavy assaults before being forced once again to withdraw to Deneki. While not decisive, this action had profound psychological implications for both sides. The Australians were exhausted from fierce fighting in the most inhospitable of conditions. Many of them were suffering from tropical diseases. They were in no doubt about the challenges they were facing with a numerically superior, confident and ruthless enemy. Yet they had been transformed into a remarkable unit. Stories abound regarding their individual and collective bravery, their willingness to give everything, physically and mentally, hardships endured and overcome, the most generous acts of mateship and sacrifice. After rest, reinforcement and re-equipping, the 39th went on to enhance its fighting reputation and participated in the battles for Gona and Sanananda, the final defeat of the Japanese in the Kokoda campaign. Australian losses were immense. Battle, casualties and tropical diseases took heavy tolls. My friends, I see the banner of the 39th Battalion. Battle honours, proudly emblazoned, bear witness to remarkable courage and determination, hallmarks of those fine men who fought along the Kokoda track and the beachheads of Papua. I congratulate the 39th Australian Infantry Battalion Association for keeping fresh the memory of this special day in the annals of Australian military history. On behalf of all Australians across our country, I convey to veterans of the original 39th Battalion and their families our sincere thanks for your extraordinary service. Members of the 39th Personal Support Battalion can take the greatest inspiration from your legendary contribution. Kokoda is a name that resonates with new generations of Australians. It evokes some of the most arduous battles of the Second World War in a place very close to our northern shores, yet 1 million miles from home. These days, it also represents a physical and mental challenge that thousands of our compatriots are moved to undertake every year, part adventure, part pilgrimage. By walking in the footsteps of our soldiers who fought there in 1942, they come to understand the nature of the struggle, the magnitude of the task. It is our hope that all Australians will come to know and respect the proud story of the 39th Battalion, lest we forget.